Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Casual Observers. My name is Josiah. This is Jacob. Let's skip the long intros, because at this point, you either know what's going on, or you don't.
That's not actually how a podcast generally works. Usually people jump in way later, and they're like, oh yeah, I just found out about this, but I don't want to go watch older episodes. So...
Okay, fine. Every week we talk about random stuff.
It's not random, it's generally like big, cool questions.
Yeah, like big questions that don't have any answers, and then we talk about how to answer them.
Yeah, that's a good summary of our show.
For at least an hour, and then we usually rant for about 30 minutes at the end about whatever's going on.
Whatever he wants to talk about, because Josiah always wants to talk about movies.
Yeah.
This is episode 24.
Wow.
I think 24. 24 or maybe 23, I'm not sure. No, it's 24. No, it's 20, yeah, it's 24. 24.
Let's just...
Skip this whole intro.
Let's just not know.
Let's just not know. It's totally 24 though.
Well, anyway, I'm sure you've guessed by the title of this video that we're going to be talking about
What is it titled? I can't
cloning.
read it. What does that say?
It's going to be called The Problems with Cloning. Or something like that.
Reading upside down is kind of hard.
I'll think of something really witty.
Oh,
you should
okay.
be looking up like this.
No, so the title's going to be down. On YouTube, the title's below it. It's below it and to the left. That's why I'm looking down there. The title's down there.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
crap, you're right. Okay, yeah, you're right.
Way to ruin the immersion. People thought I was actually looking down at it. Man.
Here, I'm going to open up the description box for you.
Nothing happened. That's good.
Okay.
Hit that subscribe button right there. Right there. Right there.
It would be, yeah,
right here.
over...
Right
over,
here. Yeah, hit that subscribe
right
button.
there.
And our terrible logos right there. And our view counts right here. See
oh,
that? It's
hey,
just one.
See that watermark right there? I found out how to put watermarks. They would be like over here, I think.
Or over here?
I don't know what it would be.
I don't know either.
Just a watermark.
Okay.
Maybe it says like TCO.
TCO. We need
Yeah,
to get
yeah.
a new graphic designer on that.
I could probably...
Whip something up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, so yeah, cloning. What's the deal with it? What is it, Jacob, exactly?
I mean, based on my knowledge of sci-fi, it's when you take a human and then recreate another version of them. Or rather, create another version of them. I'm actually curious to... Ugh, that stunk. Holy crap. Ugh.
Oh.
I was talking while you did that, and it was just like, do you have like spicy meat or something earlier? That's what it smelled like. Maybe your whole body just smells like spicy meat.
I had chicken strips.
There you go.
And gravy. Honey mustard. Tater tots. By the way, thank you, Sonic, for the promotion.
It's good.
Sponsorship.
It's good.
Everyone support the show by going to Sonic. Get some tots.
So I would say, and by me I mean Google, because, you know, I have no actual opinions about anything. I just trust Google as my source because I'd rather have intelligence than have an opinion. And they say that it just means to replicate or make an identical copy of. So
A clone, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's just an identical copy of. Where normally when we say clone, we think of like, you know, animals or whatever. But really, you could...
Or people.
You could say, I'm taking this over to the cloning machine instead of the copy machine. You'd be technically correct. You'd sound stuck up, but pretty cool.
The
cloning
You just
machine.
sound weird. Like,
Yeah.
why?
I don't know. It's like calling a thermometer a thermometer. It sounds cooler, but I mean...
Sounds pretty sci-fi.
It does.
Okay, so... Cloning, is it good or bad? What do you think, Jacob?
I mean, it's definitely good. My opinion is it's definitely good.
It's definitely good?
That's my opinion on it.
Why?
You want to argue against that? You can't just ask me why. Argue against that, bro.
Why do you think it's good?
I mean, we can recreate people that we already know are awesome instead of having to deal with the random chance of, oh, maybe this person could have a mental illness or something. You know, we don't have to breed people who have any, like, genetic issues or anything like that.
Whoa.
You know.
You were talking about something way bigger.
Well, I would. That's just an example. But also with cloning, you can just be like, hey, I can have a best friend who's exactly like me, or you can be like, hey, we can clone a person, leave them unconscious, and then we can, use their body parts to help out, other people.
Okay, so that's okay. That's obviously one of the huge issues here. Now, there's this movie called The Island.
Okay.
Okay, spoiler alert for The
Get the
Island.
spoiler tag right there.
Even though this movie came out like 11, I think this was actually a Michael Bay movie, which is weird. Or Jerry Bruckheimer, Ewan McGregor, Scarlett Johansson. Have you ever heard of this movie?
I have not, but you're naming a bunch of big names. So.
I know, right? I know. It's Ewan McGregor and Scarlett Johansson. They live on this weird compound with like it's like a mystery at first, right?
Mm-hmm.
They live on this weird compound where like they're social. They can. It's not like a prison. It feels like a summer camp sort of,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like for adults, and they never leave.
Okay.
Well, oh no, like there's like a raffle and then they think that people are going to this island,
Mm-hmm.
or off the compound or something, because the movie's called The Island,
Mm-hmm.
and they like live on an island,
Mm-hmm.
and they think there's a raffle for them to go off. Anyway, it turns out all these people are just clones.
Okay.
And very rich people have paid while they're relatively young,
Mm-hmm.
youngerish,
Mm-hmm.
like middle aged and stuff. They've paid to have spare parts for themselves.
Okay.
Okay, and so there's this nobody knows that this company is doing this,
Mm-hmm.
but they're raising perfect clones
Right.
of these people that have paid, and then the raffle isn't a raffle at all. It's just that the person that paid for extra parts needs them now,
Mm-hmm.
and so they think they're going off the island, but really they're just getting harvested.
Wonder how much that would cost. Do they ever state in the movie?
No. Well, they probably do, but it's like in the future, so it's like...
Oh yeah, money's all skewed.
Yeah. And... Well, it's kind of in the future. But anyway, Ewan McGregor eventually meets the real Ewan McGregor, and turns out he's got some kind of a terminal illness or something. Oh, clone Ewan McGregor escapes off of the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they end up exposing the whole thing, I think. Him and Scarlett Johansson or whatever. But anyway, yeah, so would you be okay with that?
Okay, see the difference, I mean, when they're living on the island, they have no idea, like, I'd assume, okay, how are, in this science fiction world, how are they being cloned? Are they, like, doing the modern day version of cloning where it's like they're birthed and grow up? Or is it like the sci-fi cloning where it's like, oh, we put them in a machine and then an exact copy of them is created?
It's like, I think they grow faster, like Star Wars style,
Okay.
like Episode 2 style.
But they're still, like, birthed and then grow?
I don't think that's ever explained, but they're kind of grown in like this artificial womb, I think.
Okay.
And it's basically in a lab. It's just this sterile lab setting. It's like a clean room.
Mm-hmm.
They're born, they kind of grow up faster, and they have like all the cognitive abilities. Like they're just a person.
Mm-hmm.
They're like a brand new person, but they're basically raised in this system. Like all they know is like working out. Oh, and they all have jobs. They kind of they work in the lab.
Mm-hmm.
They work in like the labs and stuff.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're kind of they're partially running the
cloning
the
facility.
system. Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't know that, but
Okay, so with that, there's the issue of like, since they're birthed and they grow up and stuff, and they actually have a life on the island. At that point, that probably has some issues there. Like being able to grow up and have a life and then have your life taken from you is pretty cruel, I think. I mean, I don't think it's justifiable at all. I mean, it would take a lot of money, but now I don't. If the person has to grow up and then you take their life from them, I don't think that's justifiable, and I think that's pretty wrong. But I mean, if it was a scenario where like they were just created, like with the sci-fi, it's like, oh, we just created them, and so they don't have any history or any life. If you were to just like knock them unconscious real quick, you know, and then take their parts, they didn't really live a life, so it's kind of.
Wait a minute, what? If they grew up and then you... What do you mean you knocked them?
No. If they go through the whole birthing process and grow up and stuff, then they've had a life experience and, you know...
Right, they've like made their own memories.
Right. And so at that point, they're like, you know, a living human being. But, I mean, you know, in sci-fi, sometimes there's like I'm going to step into this shower-looking thing, and there's another shower-looking thing over there, and a clone of me is going to step out, right? And if that were the case, then that's way different. If that's the case, then you could just administer a drug to them.
Right, because you're just killing them.
I
You're
mean,
essentially killing a person.
Sort of. I mean,
they're a person.
If they grow up and stuff, you're killing them for sure. But if you just like physically make a clone of yourself, like in the sci-fi version.
Oh, like a fully done, like Total Recall style?
Yeah,
have you seen that?
Like you step into a thing, and then there's another one of you that is generated by artificial cells or whatever, and then they step out, and then you just like give them some gas and knock them unconscious real quick and take.
Why would you wake them up at all?
Well, I mean, I'd assume they just come out awake. That's just, you know. You probably wouldn't wake them. If that's the ideal, actually, if you could keep them unconscious, then they never actually live a life. It would be like when you're asleep. Like, imagine if you were sleeping your whole life. You probably had no conscious awareness that you were actually, like, alive in another world anyways.
Right.
So...
Well, that's the thing, like... This idea of, like, needing an entire person for parts, it's kind of, not really necessary anymore, because like with stem cells, like you can grow individual parts.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, which like even just like 10 years ago, we weren't even sure if that was going to be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But now like we pretty much know that at some point in the future, we'll be able to use human stem cells, inject them with the genetic material that they need,
mm-hmm.
and make like lab grown skin that's actually like my skin or your skin.
Right.
And then obviously like the more complex the eventually, you know, you could get into like making multiple types of cells to make like tissue, and then actually grafting that tissue onto like, you know, like a decaying liver, you know, like actually like excising portions of the liver and then like putting that in, you know what I mean? So that whole thing is kind of not really necessary anymore. So why would you even need to clone a human being at that point?
Well, also what you're saying with, I mean, first of all, we don't actually have the technology to like clone humans yet. I mean, I don't think we've actually ever done that, right?
We have the technology.
We've cloned sheep and stuff. But if also with stem cells and stuff, we have the technology to do that. Also, there's going to be a point where we get mechanical parts that can work the same too. And so really...
that's a lot farther out.
I don't know, man. It doesn't seem like it's that far out into the future.
I mean, like some of the more mechanical, like things like your heart pumps and valves and stuff.
You're right.
Like that you can make.
We've done that.
You can do artificial
like 3D
stuff like that.
printed like heart pumps or whatever and stuff.
Yeah, or like an arm or like bones and stuff, but you're like
a liver or something's gonna be a little
like
harder.
A liver or a kidney, you know, or like intestines. It's going to be really hard to
AI.
engineer artificial
That's
versions
true.
of those. That's a long way off.
Either way, the technology we have now, like by the time we get to the place where we want to clone humans anyways, I mean, or we could clone humans anyways, we'd probably have other technology to deal with it. Why we would clone them? I mean, beyond parts, honestly, it would just be like cloning important people, I think, right?
Like who? Like who's important enough that like we need them again?
Like, see, obviously you say no one because no one's that special, but really you could go into detail and be like, man, what if we had another Teddy Roosevelt or whatever around today or something, you know, or...
What, he can't be elected again?
Or, it would be a clone of him, so he could. Or, like,
It's
an
genetically
artist.
the same.
An artist of some kind. You know, like, let's say, if Kurt Cobain or something, people were like, rip in peace, Kurt Cobain, but good thing we got this clone of him so he can make new music, you know, still, something like that. I mean, I think that's probably the only reason we would actually clone beyond parts.
But
I
no,
mean,
like if you're talking about cloning dead people.
I mean, not cloning dead people, I'm just giving examples of people who we might want now that are gone. And so I'm saying, like, when you think about it now, it's like someone might love Obama so much that they want a clone of Obama to live on after he's gone.
For what purpose?
Or North Korea, I think, is a good example. You know, if they want one leader and they don't want to keep, or if the leader doesn't reproduce or something, they could clone the leader and then just have that leader or something. You know,
for what purpose?
just to have the same person. You know, because the person, assuming they were raised the same way or something.
But you're
it
saying
depends on what type of cloning we're talking about here still.
Yeah, because the way cloning actually works
Is we birth them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
It's
in
not
that
like
way,
you're recreating their memories.
right, and in that way, I mean, I don't really understand why there would be a purpose.
To clone a human.
I mean,
You see what I'm saying?
what about animals? Would there be a reason to clone animals either?
Yeah, totally.
To clone, like, the best one for killing and eating?
Yeah, totally. Imagine if you had like...
It's interesting how when we were talking about killing humans earlier, you found it so absurdly and inhumane, but then when we're talking about killing a cow, like recreating the same perfectly genetically made cow to
It'd be
kill
awesome
it.
if you had like the perfect cow
Uh-huh.
with like the perfect marbling
Mm-hmm.
of the filet mignon.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And it's like just so tender and juicy and flavorful.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can just get the exact steak, the exact perfect steak over and over and over and over again.
That would probably be really expensive, first of all. And
Well, initially, but I mean eventually.
well,
we could get to
no,
the point where it's
the consumers would be buying very expensive steaks to pay for the fact that the producer is recreating the same cow over and over again.
Wait, what? Yeah, why?
The consumer would have to pay a lot for those steaks to make up for the fact that the consumer is going to be like, hey, this is costing me a lot of money to recreate the same cow over and over again. So all I'm saying is that those steaks would be expensive.
I mean, think about it. Once you've got the perfect cow genes,
Mm-hmm.
all you need is the fertilized egg. And then you can inseminate you can inseminate dozens
Mm-hmm.
or as many healthy, cows that you have,
Right.
and they all act as surrogate mothers.
I'm sure getting the appropriate DNA and stuff would cost a lot of money. But that's
Yeah,
irrelevant. I mean, it's just, I guess cloning animals is fine. I mean, for killing.
Yeah.
That seems a little, like, sitting here and thinking about it, I don't see anything wrong with it, but I mean, just listening to it, I'm like, okay, we're recreating the same cow to be killed over and over again, even though it's not technically the same cow. It's not the same
really.
cow, but it sounds like we're recreating the same cow. And so what it sounds like is we're recreating its death over and over again to have it experience, but it's totally not. It's a totally different animal. But I mean, I guess that makes sense.
It's not like
It's not like Deadpool or something where he like feels all the pain and dies, and he's like, "Oh, hey, I'm back. Oh, I got killed again," or something.
Yeah, exactly. You know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's essentially new because that's the thing. Like, if you clone a human being, that human being's gonna have to grow up under a unique set of circumstances.
It's nature versus nurture.
It's gonna have, oh,
It's gonna be nurtured differently. It could be a totally different person.
Yeah, you know what? That's an interesting thing because you could do some crazy experiments on nature versus nurture.
I wonder if you could figure out how to so you could figure out how to raise the perfect child. Theoretically. Right? Because
No. What I'm saying is, check this out.
Perfect version of yourself, at least.
Because, I mean, okay, so you have your genes and your specific upbringing, and we know that equals who you are right now.
Sure.
Right? Okay, what if we had your genes coupled with an entirely different upbringing? What kind of Jacob do we get? What version of Jacob do we get then?
Right.
And how different is that? We're isolating the nurture variable.
Right.
And you could actually, well, I don't know if you could sort of quantify how much your nurturing and upbringing plays a part in who you become and your personality.
Right, and what I'm saying with that is, if we were doing this in mass, we could calculate, what part of, what things in upbringing, or what things that nurture you or whatever, come out with different traits or whatever, and then figure out, okay, these are the best traits, so all people should be nurtured this way, and so they come out the best way. Obviously, it would have some issues with genetics and stuff, but you could find the perfect version of yourself, at least, if you were to go long enough. You could be like the perfect Jacob.
I mean,
happen.
That would take generations, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's true. It would.
And like, what does perfect mean?
Let's say you did do that, but with like tons of different people. Let's say you get like 1,000 different people, and clone them all, and then clone them all again, and then clone them all again. So we got like 3 different generations, right? Over time. And over the 3 different generations of 1,000 people each, maybe we see trends in the nurture, and we say, okay, if someone was brought about in this area in home life, they come out like this. Maybe we could find a line that's like in sync with all of them. So like, your genetics might not actually cause your personality to come out. It could be all upbringing, is what I'm saying. Or they could find certain things in your upbringing that trump the genetics, and then you could theoretically create people that are all exactly the same but have different genetics. Theoretically. Very theoretically.
Depending on if the genetic factor is only a small percentage of...
Yeah, what I'm saying,
or
0%. But you were saying we could experiment, and one of the experiments we could definitely figure out how important nurture actually was. And if nurture turns out to be extremely important, then you theoretically could definitely make people to be raised and to think exactly like you want them to be. Which is getting into like supervillain territory, but...
That's like Nazi style.
That's very Nazi. Well, no, Nazis are changing the genetics. We're actually the opposite of Nazis. We're changing the...
Okay, advocates of human therapeutic cloning believe the practice could provide genetically identical cells for regenerative medicine and tissues and organs for transplantation. Such cells, tissues, and organs would neither trigger an immune response nor require the use of immunosuppressive drugs. Both basic research and therapeutic development for serious diseases such as cancer, heart disease, and diabetes, as well as improvements in burn treatment and reconstructive and cosmetic surgery, are areas that might benefit from such new technology. children cloned for therapeutic purposes, such as to donate bone marrow to a sibling with leukemia, may someday be viewed as heroes. Whoa.
Okay, that's kind of cool.
Wow.
I guess there are some health things that we can't do with stem cells, right?
Well, yeah, like, it's really limited right now. Like, you can only do, like, single-cell tissue, you know, like skin. Right. But, you know, like, something really complex like a liver, you know, or stuff like that, you know, where there's, like, different cells doing different stuff.
Right. So what if you made... Okay, hear me out here. So let's say a liver, you couldn't get the stem cells to create a new liver, right? So what you do is you clone one person, but you clone them like 1,000 times, and then just take a tiny little piece of each of their livers and build a new liver, so they all get to live, but all 1,001 get to live with only a piece of their liver missing.
Is that possible?
I mean, at this point, we're cloning humans, so technology would have to be really crazy. I know, that's like really far out there and ridiculous. We're never going to clone anyone that many times. But, I mean, I guess that's how you would have to do it to avoid just like killing someone to harvest their organs. I don't know though, man. Like, at the point where... Like, if you were, like, on your deathbed, except they were like, okay, you have, like, a year to live, and let's say the cloning process where they grow up takes, like, a year, it seems like at that point, you would totally be willing to be just like, yeah, make me 3 clones, I want all the body parts, I want to keep living. Like, I don't care about other people. I know I know that sounds really horrible, but when you're about to die at the time, like... Your biological instincts would kick in and be like, I don't care if other people die as long as I live, you know?
Yeah. And
that's kind of like, I wonder if that would be like considered self-defense to a point? I'm not sure. Actually, okay, what if you, well, kind of, okay.
I mean, you're killing somebody to...
Yeah. Like, what if, okay, let's say you needed a liver or something, and someone had the same liver as you, and you killed them, and you were like, hey, I got this liver now, let's do this, put it in me. Like, obviously it was wrong to kill the person.
Oh, but are you going to let that liver go to waste? Well, see, that's the thing, like, so are you saying that, like, you killed the clone of yourself?
I mean, obviously you would have to kill the clones of yourself.
But why were the clones of you in the first place?
I was comparing it to a situation if someone had like a liver that was the same type as yours or whatever, and you go out and kill them, a regular person who's not a clone, to get their liver to survive, because you're like, I would rather live with myself killing someone than to die, because
yeah, but
dying is worse.
The way organ transplants work right now, without clones, is like you have to have the same blood type.
Right.
But that's not an uncommon thing. Mm-hmm. So, like, let's say me and you had the same blood type, and I killed you because I needed a liver or whatever, and I was like, hey, I'll go to jail or whatever, but just put this liver in me. They'd be like, no, there's people on a list that need a liver. That's who's going to get this guy's liver. Well, you're just going to jail.
Well, right, but okay.
You know what I mean?
The smart way to do it would to kill someone, not, and before anyone finds out that you killed them, get them to put the liver in, because, there's a reason there's like black market body parts and stuff. People do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you would get it in there before people find out that you killed them, and then you're like, what are you going to do, take the liver out of me? That's cruel and unusual punishment.
Whoa, do you ever see that movie, John Q?
No.
Oh man, that was crazy. This guy...
Spoilers.
Yeah, he needed a heart... No. Denzel Washington's son needed a heart transplant. And because some genetic heart failure or whatever, right? So Denzel, he like sells a bunch of stuff to pay for these hospital bills and all kinds of stuff, and then he's on the list, but he's probably not gonna get it or something or whatever. Anyway, Denzel Washington ends up holding this hospital hostage and these doctors, and he basically like forces them to like perform the surgery on his son or whatever, and then he ends up going to jail. But his son had the heart.
So his son lived.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally worth it. Right? There was a House episode like that too, I think, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a dude who was like, I've been to tons of different hospitals and no one can figure out what's wrong with me.
Yeah, he takes him hostage, but
yeah,
that was just because he was trying to get diagnosed, I think.
Yeah. And no one could figure out what was wrong with him, and there was all kinds of issues, and House does some House things,
Yeah, that was right.
Anyways, so, I don't know, I mean...
Okay, I think we really...
Could everyone just... Like, could we come to an agreement point where it's like a human... Man, obviously that sounds terrible, but could we come to a point where we just all agree that the morals of it are not as important as like the actual physical, hey, I want to live, and we could all come to an agreement that clones were like lesser people? I mean, could we do that with animals, right?
Oh, wait, listen to this.
Like cows and stuff.
Listen to this. Okay, human cloning might change the shape of family structure by complicating the role of parenting within a family of convoluted kinship relations. For example, a female DNA donor would be the cloned genetic twin rather than mother, complicating the genetic and social relationships between mother and child, as well as the relationship between other family members and the clone.
Is there actually biology there?
What do you mean?
Like, a mother who is technically the twin sister of her daughter because of cloning.
That's like straight up Boba Fett stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying though, is there actually like biology there where it's like, okay, you're not actually the mother of this person, so maybe there's something here that you can't do for this person or don't feel or something for this person, or is it just all nurture?
I don't understand how you wouldn't.
I mean, it would be exactly the same. It's exactly Boba Fett stuff. That's literally Boba Fett.
Yeah. Like that was just she was raising himself.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, he's going to be totally different,
And he was.
The child's going to operate like they might have like some. It's going to have a lot of similar like emotional tendencies and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to be totally. It's going to be raised in a totally different environment.
Yeah, so there's no problem with the social structure of it, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, the child is going to see the older version of itself as its mother.
Right.
Regardless.
Which actually might be a good thing, because if it, people always say, oh, you tend to end up like your parents or something. If the child were to end up, if the child's mother was just her, she actually might just end up being exactly like her mother and cloning herself again. Interesting.
Yeah. So that's not a problem? I don't know, maybe.
Social structure doesn't seem to be a problem. I don't get that.
Well, it's more like the family structure,
Yeah, that just seems
there
weird,
may
though.
be expectations that the cloned individual would act identically to the human from which they were cloned, which could infringe on the right to self-determination. But again, we know there's a huge non-genetic component to an individual's personality.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
And it might be that nurture is even more important to a person's personality.
Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I would think that it's more, like, your personality is more based on your perception of the world rather than your genetic instincts and tendencies. I could be wrong in that. I mean,
there's definitely some factors. Like when it comes to genetics, like intelligence. Like your level of intelligence is definitely going to define your personality to an extent.
Yeah, but that's debatable whether, like, how much intelligence is a genetic factor.
I mean, I assumed it was. Is it not?
That's a highly contested issue. Yeah.
So you can have like a really stupid kid or something? Ugh.
I mean, it's possible. It's
People remember in high school or middle school, people always be like, "What would you do if your son was gay or something?" For me, it's what would you do if your son was stupid? I don't know, man. I just like take him out to the barn. I'm sorry.
See that
Old Yeller.
that's the thing. Like a lot of studies suggest because there was so for a long time people thought that intelligence, there's a strong genetic factor here because look at third world countries. Okay, low IQs, right, in these third world countries, and maybe that's why, because it's a genetic factor and they're just breeding amongst themselves, and creating more kids of the same intelligence. Okay?
Right.
But, there have been a lot of studies that have shown that you can take orphans from these countries, put them, if you get them really young, bring them into, a highly structured environment where, learning is praised, and they can do just as well as, a child from any racial background.
The comparison from a third world country to a first world is huge. Like a third world person generally might not have an education at all or something, and so we say, okay, there's not really a difference once we raise them in this first world country. But if you're only looking at a first world country, we see differences, but the differences are smaller, but we still say this person's stupid. For example, if you have an above average IQ of 150 or something, right? And someone has a below average of IQ of 95 or 90 or something, right?
Okay.
If they're both raised in the same school system or something, their intelligence levels seem to be pretty close, but we would definitely say the person who's 150 is way smarter. But what you're saying with the third world country, we bring a third world person into the first world and we're like, oh yeah, they're just as smart. But are they just as smart, or do they just sit somewhere in that range of 90 to 150 like the rest of us do? That's not just as smart. If you were to breed two 150 people, that's the question.
I honestly don't understand what you're saying. There's
The gap between third world and first world intelligence is huge strictly because of the education system. Where there is intelligence beyond just the education system if you're only looking at first world, and we've seen that. We can prove that. There's a reason that people have higher IQs than others even though they go to the same schools and were raised the same way. So their education is not actually a totally determinant of their biological ability for intelligence.
Well, that's kind of what I'm saying, that everyone has roughly the same capacity for intelligence.
Right, but
roughly.
But the whole point about roughly saying 90 to 150 is roughly. But what I'm saying is when we're talking about intelligent people, really intelligent people, the people we would say in first world countries are intelligent, like Stephen Hawking or someone, if those people bred, would we get still intelligent people? Or could they have a kid that's at 90 but still do relatively well because he was in the same education system we had? Or even better, if he was his IQ's 90 but he went to you rich fancy schools or something because his parents were super smart and rich and stuff.
That's what I'm saying. If you just want to talk about IQ scores,
which
everybody has the capacity has roughly the same capacity to be at a 150.
I don't think so.
That's what I'm saying. I think so.
You think that anyone could go up to 150? What about the maximum? There's a reason that people You know, like Einstein
Yeah,
or
well
whatever.
then, yeah, so that's when you get into genetic.
IQ's on a 200-point scale, right?
I believe so. That's
Okay.
the highest.
Okay,
Wait a
yeah.
minute. Might be 250, I'm not sure.
I've heard 200 and 300, but I'm thinking maybe they're different scales or something.
But what I'm saying is, like, yeah, like, the genetic component is minuscule, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. It could, yes, it very well could.
It could be, yeah.
It could be minuscule in the sense that anybody could go 90 to 150 and, you know, or anyone could land anywhere between 90
I think
to
anybody
150.
could be even higher, like
They could be at the maximum.
120 to 150.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's hard to say. Like when you meet actually stupid people, it's hard to determine like if they're just not that intelligent because of the way they're raised in education system, or if they're just
here's the thing,
really
like,
not that bright.
your personality, right?
It's hard.
Like
Yes.
there's so many factors here because like when you're a kid, what your desires and like your perception of learning, you know, like if you like in a third world country, like doing well in school might not even be a thing. Like school might not even be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So learning may not even be a concept that you're very familiar with.
Right.
You know what I mean? But like, yeah, obviously if you grow up like in a first world nation in a very rich country, in a very rich, like the upper class of a rich country,
Yeah. You live in like Manhattan.
your parents are
or, like,
probably
the rich
educated,
people.
right?
Yeah.
And so they're going to stress the importance of learning, right? So
Mhm.
from an early age,
Mhm.
so that's going to be a priority for you.
Right. But what I'm saying is, even if someone was, if you got, took two really stupid people who were rich, but they're like, education's really important, and sent them through the important education system and stuff, I mean, would that kid actually ever reach the cap of like 180, not actually the cap, assuming the cap is 200, you know, would they get up to like 180, 189 or something? And I don't think so. There's definitely got to be, I don't know, maybe, like, there are some things that people have harder times, like, understanding or doing, like, physically or mentally, and I'm not sure if that's actually based all on nurture or not, too. You know, like, you know, some people, like, pick up things quicker than others, people say, and is that because they have a higher intelligence or because the way they were educated and they just have some, even if it's just subconscious experience with that or something? I don't know.
Or is it like a natural thing?
Yeah. Like,
Or-
people say it's natural, but that term is probably used incorrectly, maybe, I'm not sure.
Or is it, 'cause you might have a predisposition to learning a certain type of thing,
Yeah.
you know?
Mhm.
Like some people might be better with like motor skills,
Mhm.
like reflexes and stuff like that.
Right, and
Like that might be just a natural strength of yours.
or like singers and stuff, people are like, oh yeah, she's the daughter of this famous singer, so clearly she's going to be able to sing. You know?
maybe not.
Yeah.
But she has a genetic predisposition
But-
to like hearing, like recognizing.
Singing
frequencies and stuff.
actually is more of like education though, right? There's actually a very, very small percentage of people who are actually tone deaf as far as I understand. It's like
Yeah.
not even a 1%, it's like a 0.3% or something. It's a
Well,
very, very small.
A lot of your voice is genetically, like it's about the way your throat and mouth is structured, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and stuff, and like how much of your airflow comes out of your nasal passages and your throat and stuff like that
Right.
and stuff. So like anybody can learn to sing to a certain degree,
Mm-hmm.
but then like
But that's just
the
subjective at
best
the
of
point.
the best,
Yeah.
like people who have like a unique voice and stuff like that,
Yeah.
like they're not consciously thinking about that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's the way they sound.
I mean, there are people who have been like pretty widely accepted as bad singers who still got popular, right? You know, Kurt Cobain, he sucks.
Does he?
I mean, kinda. There's a lot of people like that. I can't think of the names off the top of my head, but people would be like, yeah, this guy actually can't sing at all, but he's really famous.
But the
and I like
lyrics
his
are
voice."
good.
Yeah, basically. You know, some people just have an atrocious voice, but
That's true.
that's very true.
Alright, what were we
probably
talking
do.
about? Cloning.
Well, we were talking about cloning and the nature versus nurture aspect of it, and I don't know.
What are you thinking?
I'm thinking that
So you think intelligence is sort of...
I think intelligence is at least somewhat biological.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
So But I think it's mostly...
What I'm saying is I don't think every single person on the planet had the potential when they were born to reach 180 IQ or
right,
whatever.
definitely.
Yeah.
But I think everyone has the capacity for pretty high levels of intelligence. But see, there's other factors like your ability to focus. You know what I mean? Like if you have like high levels of testosterone when you're younger, like it's gonna be harder for you to focus. You know?
Right.
Whereas like if you have lower levels of testosterone, maybe you're not gonna, you're not gonna get super tall and super buff, and your voice is not gonna get super deep.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll have a calmer demeanor, and you'll be able to think harder about things. You know what I mean?
Or also like when people talk about like, oh, I'm a visual...
That's where jocks and nerds come from. It's a genetic thing.
Well, that's debatable. But like when people say, oh, I'm a visual learner or something, there's probably something going on in the brain biologically there where it's like, okay, like when some people read a book, it's like when they, they picture the images and stuff of their reading. Some people don't, apparently. Some people just read books and they don't actually picture what's going on. I don't know how that works.
Or that's why I read comics.
So you have an image? Or, like when people have trouble understanding problems because there's not like 6 cups laid out in front of you and it's 6 by 4 or whatever, and you know what I mean? Like math problems where it's like, here's an image of the math problem and it'll help you learn out.
Oh yeah.
Figure it out.
Here's 3 cookies, here's 2 cookies. What happens when we put these, we add these together?
Instead of
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay,
instead
5.
of someone like me where it's like, oh, there's a word text where it's like, you have 3 cookies on the left hand side of the table and you have 2 cookies on the right hand side of the table.
Dude, that's how I think about things.
What do you mean?
Like I need to visualize, like sometimes when I'm dividing, I need to envision like 23 M&Ms going into like 7 cups or whatever.
Okay. That's like 3 point, I don't know, 2 or something, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Well, it'd be
3 point. It would be
3 2/7.
Yes. So 3.4-ish, I think, actually.
2/7. That's a.
Oh, but no, that's not even half. So 3.3, whatever. It's not actually. It's 3.275.
It's less than a third.
It's like 3.275 or something like that. Anyways.
Very good.
Shut up. But see, I was
genetically...
visualizing the numbers in my head. I wasn't visualizing M&Ms.
Actually, yeah, I was too.
Yeah.
I was thinking about. Well, 2/7 is kind of like 2/6 a little bit.
Yeah.
But
yeah. You always, you round and stuff. That's simplifying math. Simplifying. So, I mean, if intelligence is biological, then, I mean, if we really wanted to get into it, you could technically say, let's clone the most intelligent people we have if we were to find that intelligence was biological, and that way we progress the human race to its fullest potential. We say we clone the most intelligent people, and then the offspring will go interplanetary and stuff, but I don't know, that's, everyone wants to have offspring, it's your biological purpose, so it probably would never be allowed.
Not everybody wants to have offspring.
Well, biologically they're supposed to want to. I know I don't, obviously, but I can't stand kids.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. But, you know,
But you do want to procreate, though.
biologically, my biology says, hey, you're supposed to have kids.
So you're fighting your biology?
Yeah, man.
Well, see, kids is more of a social thing now.
That's probably true. Anyways, anything else on cloning?
Let me think.
I mean, so, I think at the time, like, if I had enough money, you know, if I was like a super rich pop star like Taylor Swift or something, you know, I would probably, if I was on my deathbed, be like, yes, clone me 2 clones right now and keep me alive. That's what I would do. No shame about it, I'm admitting it right now. I would have no shame in that.
I'm still struggling to find the need to clone an entire human.
Well, I mean, you can't, the problem is you can't actually just clone a body part. That's the need. You can't be like, I need to clone my left ear.
Well, you kind of can.
With stem cells, right.
Yeah.
But if it was something important that we can't do with stem cells, like a liver or whatever.
Well, I mean, pretty soon we'll be.
Okay, if I was
if I
was super rich right now, I would be like, clone me a human right now.
Well, see, the thing about it is, the
So that'd probably be just like freeze me.
The animal clones that we've made, they don't always come out right.
Really?
Yeah.
Are they a little like not intelligent or something?
Huh?
Do they have some?
No, they
issues?
die really fast.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Like man, I was watching this. This was a few years ago, but they were cloning like gazelle, like a gazelle or something.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and so they had like a surrogate. Right, like the surrogate gazelle was giving birth to this baby gazelle, and like they had their first birth where like the baby actually came out alive. But
it's freaking cruel.
And it was like the first time that it was actually born alive.
Yeah, it's really.
And then it died like within hours. Like they try to.
So there's probably some moral issues there actually. If we create inferior animals or whatever just to have them die, that's actually pretty cruel. You know what? That's pretty cruel.
In reproductive cloning, researchers remove a mature somatic cell, such as a skin cell, from an animal they wish to copy. They then transfer the DNA of the donor animal's somatic cell into an egg cell or an oocyte that has had its own DNA containing nucleus removed. Wow.
I don't know what must be. Though I knew some of those words you said.
So well, that was just basically the process. Oh, list of animals that have been cloned.
A sheep.
Wow.
Wasn't
okay.
a sheep the first one?
In alphabetical order. One significant aspect of the list is documenting the transition from early concerns that animal cloning procedures might be limited to a few species, that cloned animals might be psychologically abnormal, or cloning might lack utility for society.
Why haven't we just tried to clone a human? Because they all die? And people would be like, oh, we can't make a human and then have it die really quickly?
I think it's...
Because, I mean,
I think it's illegal in a lot of countries.
What about the U.S.?
I think it might be illegal.
I'm Googling that.
Carp, cats, cattle, deer, dogs, ferrets, frogs, fruit flies, gar, a species of wild cattle, goat, horse, mice, mouflon, mule, pig, Pyrenean ibex, rabbit, rat, rhesus monkey, sheep, water buffalo, wolf, zebrafish. In 2009, some European journal published a method for somatic cell nuclear transfer of zebrafish. So there you go.
So with few exceptions, human cloning in general is legal in the U.S., more specifically therapeutic cloning of the type done in Oregon to produce embryonic stem cells is legal in most states in the U.S., including California. Just a handful of states ban therapeutic cloning. Probably Texas. But,
You think?
I mean, we're against everything, right?
Not against guns.
It's true. That's the one thing.
Hey, we got that.
We're like, you guys can have all your clones and stuff. We'll just have guns.
Yeah.
You guys can have your drugs and clones, and we'll have guns.
Hey, clones occur in nature. In nature, some plants and single-celled organisms such as bacteria produce genetically identical offspring through a process called asexual reproduction.
Right.
Natural clones, also known as identical twins, occur in humans and other mammals. Okay. What are the types of... Okay, here we go. What are the types of artificial cloning? There are 3 different types of artificial cloning. Gene cloning, reproductive cloning, and therapeutic cloning. Gene cloning produces copies of genes or segments of DNA. Reproductive cloning produces copies of whole animals. Therapeutic cloning produces embryonic stem cells for experiments aimed at creating
Okay,
tissues.
so the stem cell thing is technically considered cloning.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
I mean, that's all you really need. And, you don't have to use,
Wow, we do clone humans then.
yeah, basically. And you don't have to use embryonic stem cells to...
So really, there's no point to
So that
actually
removes the
clone
whole abortion issue.
So there's no reason to clone whole humans, huh? Except to for fun. You're like,
Yeah,
hey,
just to be like, we can do this.
or if you want a kid, but you don't want a kid raised with someone else, you can be like, I want a kid who will be exactly like me or something.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Wait a
That'd
minute,
be
but
cool.
then you'd still, like, if you were a woman,
Mm-hmm.
so you could have a genetic clone of yourself, right, and give birth to it?
Yes, as a man, you would have to have someone else host it.
You'd have to have a surrogate mother.
Yeah.
So why not just have a kid?
I mean, the surrogate mother doesn't necessarily have to have any DNA involved in the kid.
Right, but what's the advantage for you?
If I had some ego and I was like, I am the superior version of all DNA right now, and I want my kid to be exactly like me, and I don't want to infect my kid with, like, genes of someone else or something, right?
I guess.
But, I mean, not even just like that. You could be like, I want a kid that's exactly like me, but not like anyone else, so something like that. It would only be for the extraordinarily rich.
I guess. The extraordinary rich singles.
Well, singles who don't want to, or not even singles, they could be married and be like, I don't want you to be a part of my kid.
So we'll have a boy and a girl, and
Yeah.
so just be ourselves.
Yeah, that would be weird. That would be kind of incestuous. Actually, it
What?
wouldn't.
No, what are you talking about?
No, okay. If you had,
Incestuous.
as in the kids would be, that kid is me, that kid is you, we fell in love and got married, they're growing up right next to each other and growing around us. So technically, I mean, they're not actually brother and sister, and they're not technically genetically together at all. But the kids, it would be like, you know what I'm saying here, right? I
are you
understand.
saying?
I understand you're like making fun of me with that face, but
I don't like.
look,
That was an
this kid.
incest.
It's not actually incest, is what I'm saying. But it
Yeah.
would seem a little incestuous because it's like, hey,
What part of
this
it is?
kid is me, that girl is you. They grow up together, and they could get married or something, because if they were raised around us, they could be exactly like us. They could get married or something. That's what I'm saying.
But they'll be totally different. They'll have their own personality.
Right, but I mean,
They'll be similar but distinctly unique.
right, and because their genes are different anyways, it wouldn't actually be. But it
And
would.
because I mean, if it's like in America, they'll grow up with a social norm that like
Right.
you don't find your siblings attractive,
Right.
and they wouldn't know that they're not genetically. I mean, eventually they might know,
They
but
might find out.
but at that, but I mean, once they understand what that means,
Mm.
they'll already understand that it's weird to date your
Well,
siblings.
again, that's a nature versus nurture thing. Like, if there was some, how much of the nature was dictating their personality could determine
A lot.
if they could actually, fall in love.
Think about it. Both parents
Mm-hmm.
have the combined personalities of their parents,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
To create that person
Mm-hmm.
that the spouse finds attractive,
Mm-hmm.
and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're raising two kids. They're going to have their complete,
Yes.
brand new ideas
Mm-hmm.
that they, you know what I mean? So
Yes.
I guess it's possible, but it's
unlikely. Yeah, and that's what
is it any more likely than two real brothers and sisters finding each other attractive and wanting to get married?
I mean, there's like some biology with the real brothers and sisters, right? Like, there's got to be some biology in there. I think. I'd hope. Anyways, back to cloning. Is there anything else on that? So, stem cells are okay. Cloning real people would just be for fun, and there wouldn't really be any issues of it. Oh, I guess you could go into the religious aspect of, oh, would the person have a soul? The answer is, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, they would.
If you're just birthing them like a regular person, yep, they would. There's nothing else there.
It's
If it's the sci-fi cloning where you like physically create another person through like a portal or whatever, then things get weird. But
what was that Arnold Schwarzenegger movie where he has a clone?
I don't know. I don't watch
And he
Arnold
meets him?
movies. I don't know. I don't watch Arnold movies.
Oh, well, there's a there was a movie where like they have this machine where you can make a duplicate of yourself
Mm-hmm.
with your own memories,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I've also told you about that
Yes.
sci-fi story where
I was gonna ask if you were gonna bring that
about
up.
the transportation.
Yeah.
I saw that like so long ago, but it's always stuck with me.
Was that considered a horror movie? Because that's pretty horrifying.
No, it was like a sci-fi thriller.
Okay.
But basically, there's like this futuristic teleportation device that can transport you across the galaxy, or like really far. But it ends up being like it's actually just making a copy of you in that other spot, and it's destroying you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so
I've heard this story like 3 or 4 times now.
yeah, and so the machine messes up, and it copies this lady elsewhere, but it doesn't destroy her, and so she just wakes up and she's like, "Oh, it didn't go. Can we run that back?" And they're like, "No, we have to kill you now because the machine's messed up."
Right.
So, yeah, in that case, so how do you feel about clones with the same memory? Like if you can clone your experiences, because that's the sci-fi version.
I mean, okay, I mean, it depends on what they're made out of. Like, if they're made out of your same cells and everything and they have the same experiences, the question of if they have a soul or not, they probably wouldn't in the sci-fi version.
Or like that Michael Keaton movie, the Duplicity, where in that one they make clones that have the same memories, but they have different personalities.
Mm-hmm.
And so every clone is sort of like the embodiment of like different versions of himself.
Mm-hmm.
So like the original self is like sort of his full self, right? But the first duplicate is sort of like the more aggressive, like confident
Mm-hmm.
version of himself. And then the third clone, or the second clone, or the third version of himself,
Mm-hmm.
is sort of like the sort of more laid back and kind of effeminate side of him.
Mm-hmm.
And then he makes one more clone that's sort of like the goofy, like totally nonchalant version.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, what about
I don't think there's any science to that one.
No, there's no science. It was just that was a comedy.
That's kind of cute, yeah.
So, how do you feel about clones of, like, if I was able to perfectly recreate? Have you seen Elysium?
I have not. I think I've seen bits and pieces.
Okay. Well, what if we could totally I could completely clone you right now, same memories.
The movie was really bad, right?
It was
I think
disappointing
I saw
for
like
me.
the last 30 minutes. Anyways.
I didn't like it that much, but I mean, it was an okay movie.
It was like a political movie, and people weren't expecting it to be, right?
Well, no, I mean, District 9 was very much
Mm-hmm.
had a lot of political undertones, you know,
Right.
and so did this one, but it was just the story wasn't nearly as interesting as District 9. It was like almost a carbon copy of District 9,
Was it really?
but like a not as good version of it.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's essentially the same thing. Like a guy, he gets in a bad situation. He gets this thing that makes him unique, you know.
Mm-hmm.
In the one thing, he has the arm on him. In Elysium, he gets this robot suit.
He gets the exoskeleton or whatever, right? Yeah.
He's got to infiltrate this thing. He ends up bringing balance to everything or whatever.
I remember, I definitely, now the more I'm thinking about it, I definitely saw like the last 30 minutes, I think, where he flies to flies to Elysium or something and like wrecks stuff up.
Oh, he's there for like most of the movie.
Oh, okay.
Or like half the movie, I think.
I remember him just going like blowing crap up and
Yeah,
stuff.
a lot of it's about him trying to get there.
Oh, okay. Anyways, so how do I feel about cloning an exact copy?
Yeah, what if I could make an exact copy of you right now?
I would be totally down with that.
Or like, oh, you've seen The Prestige, right?
No. I don't even know what that movie is off the top of my head. I've heard that name, but
It's Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale.
okay, I haven't seen it.
They're both magicians in like the 1800s.
You've told me about it, but I haven't seen it.
Okay, it's pretty good.
Okay, anyways.
Actually, you should put that on your list.
Okay, that'll go on my list.
Yeah, that's great.
Prestige.
You've
Okay.
seen Inception, right?
Yes.
Memento?
No.
Ooh, that was good too.
Okay,
These are all
anyways.
Chris Nolan movies I'm naming. Actually.
Ah, okay, I do like Nolan.
Memento's Inception.
I gotta watch Interstellar. I haven't watched that yet. No one spoiled it yet for me.
It's not even okay.
I mean, as I understand it, there's something to do with like time travel or something. But if I'm really wrong on that, don't even correct me because I haven't seen it. So, anyways,
Okay.
cloning a version of myself, there's no issues with that, right?
I don't know. I mean, how would you feel about that if there was another you that could now go on and make its own decisions?
Well, we would have to see. First of all, if it's exactly me with my same mind and stuff, we would probably just be like, dude, let's start a band, okay? Like, let's do this. And we'd be like, wait, we need to clone like 3 more right now. Then we'd have a whole band. That would be great. That's what we would do.
But then you wouldn't be able to make anything.
What do you mean?
You're collaborating with yourself, so you're just brainstorming.
No, we would.
You have the same skills.
Right. But, you know, with a single person, you have limited time. Whereas what if it's 5 different versions of me? I'm the type of person who, you know, like in a video game or something, if someone gives me a mission or something, it's like I take pride in that and I'll do that. So, in real life, if there's 5 different versions of me, we would all sit down and be like, okay, this version is going to play bass. That version, you need to go learn drums now. This version needs to work on his singing. This version needs to play guitar.
Okay, I guess, but they would all have this.
We would all be able to play bass probably, but
Yeah, you would, because
Yeah.
you can play bass right now.
right.
But what I'm saying is, like, they would have as much interest in learning those things as you do.
If I had 4 versions of myself, and they told me
I mean, they're not your slaves.
No, listen. If I had 4 versions of
and
myself,
they wouldn't necessarily
Yeah,
deem
no.
you their leader either.
I know. Listen. If I had 4 versions of myself, even if I got the least interesting job there, I would still be okay with it, which would be guitar, because guitar is the one I'm least interested in. But because it's 5 versions of me, and I would still want to be successful, and I'm like, all right, I know that bassist is going to play bass lines that I like. I know the drummer is going to play drum stuff I like. I need to work on my guitaring. I would totally do it because there's motivation there.
So your skill set would diverge at that point, right?
Yeah.
But your ability to create... I mean, I guess you'd have... Yeah, so it would be... Yeah, it'd be more than what you could do now because, like, the drummer clone,
Mm-hmm.
he's going to get better and better at drums.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's going to be able to bring things to the band that you cannot currently do yourself.
Exactly.
Right?
And I can't, like, physically right now, I couldn't sit down and learn all of those instruments and get, in a year from now, get to the same point where I could if I had 5 different versions of myself practicing.
Right, dedicating themselves to one area. Yeah, so I guess what I'm saying is, like, it would be the same as you taking, like, years to learn all these things.
Yeah.
And then do it.
But that's not practical, so.
But, well, yeah, it's, I mean, 5 years, you'll be like 25.
It takes more than 5 years to become good at an instrument. I've been playing bass for 5 years and I freaking suck, so.
But if you really dedicated yourself, you could get pretty good. But what I'm saying is, like, to the outside world, like to somebody else, like me, listening to y'all, like talk and write, it would be like 5 very similar but distinct individuals collaborating with each other.
Right, and that would be awesome.
Like, sort of, kind of, you know what I mean? Because they're each bringing what they've learned.
Yeah, they would bring new and better stuff.
Than you could currently right now.
Right.
But it's a weird thing because it's still kind of the same. It would still be the same thing as you acquiring the same skills that your clones have and deciding how you would integrate that.
There are some personality changes there. Like, if it took me, let's say I spent like 1 year on each instrument, and it took me 5 years from now where I was 25, right?
Yeah.
You know, like, influences and stuff would be different necessarily, because, like, if I had 5 different versions of me right now, they would probably all be influenced and want to play and learn songs and music and stuff that I like now. Whereas if I spent over 5 years learning it, it's like, okay, after I learned guitar, man, I really started listening to Joe Satriani or whatever, and so now I really like his stuff, so when I moved to drums, I could be like, maybe I want to play drums on one of his songs or something, and stuff like that. So it would, the experience and stuff like that would change a little bit.
That's pretty hilarious.
I mean, that would be great. I'd love to have a band of all me. I'm sure you would like to have a movie crew of all you.
That would be so sick.
See?
Actually, no. See, I mean, yeah, I'd love to have a crew.
Alright.
Myself, but
you just have to be willing to accept that you could end up being one of the lesser ones doing a lesser job. And I'd be totally cool with accepting that.
Well, see, here's the thing. If there were multiple versions of myself, we would come to the realization that some of us can get better at some things. It's like the responsibilities of one person can now be divided into 2 people.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So, or however many clones you have. You know what I mean? So, like, oh, see, that would be weird because then, like, either me or my clone would have to be like, okay, I'm gonna go to work, go to school, do this podcast, while the other one of us is like, okay, I'm gonna finally read this book on screenwriting that I've renewed from the library for a month now. You know?
Right.
And I'm gonna like go to I'm gonna find like a movie set and like be like an extra on it, or, you know, go to this like amateur film crew and like just be on set and learn from these guys. You know what I mean? Like, eventually, like, one of us would have to decide like who's gonna.
That's what I was saying with the band thing. With me, you just all have to sit down and be like, okay, who are we dictating to what jobs right now? And you might be the one who goes to school and gets the worst, you know, the short end of the stick on that one. But that's something you just gotta accept. Or if me, playing guitar, I don't want to play guitar, but
eventually, like, who would deliver pizzas for you?
I don't know. See, I was thinking whoever the bass player was, because they already have a lot of skill there, they would be the pizza delivery guy.
That would be you.
Because it would be any of the clones. Any of the clones.
Any of you have the same pizza delivering skills.
Yeah, but what we would have to dictate one to focus on base, and whichever one focuses on base is also the pizza delivery guy, because he has less to learn because he already has base. He's already got a bunch of base experience, while the others have to learn a whole new instrument.
That would be you.
Or any of the clones, because they have the exact same experience.
Yeah,
Right?
But what I'm saying is, wouldn't you want to play bass? Wouldn't you call dibs on that?
Nah, I would call dibs on like singing. But we would have to take votes.
Okay.
So there is no, there would have to be a voting system. I don't know how you would vote with yourself. That would be really interesting. But the fact that they would be clones of me would also sit down and say, we have to take votes. And then they would also be thinking, how are we going to take votes when we're all thinking exactly the same or whatever at first, For the first, probably 30 minutes or so, they're basically just going to be you. And then experiences after that point are going to change. As soon as one of the clones says something really jerky to one of the other clones, the experience has now changed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they're like, I don't like clone number 3 very much. Or...
Man, this would make a great sci-fi comedy sketch.
Let's do it, dude. You got a camera? I don't
I
know how we
do.
got a clone. Mirrors, basically.
Oh yeah, that's super easy.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. Whoa, we should do that.
Let's do it.
Okay, we'll do that.
Okay, we'll do that.
All right, I think we've covered everything.
Yeah, it was interesting.
Actually, there's probably way more stuff that we.
There was probably a lot.
That we
If
skipped
there's
over.
something that we missed and you want to talk about, leave it in the comments. We'll do a follow-up episode. We have yet to do a follow-up episode on any topic so far.
It's because we don't have any fans.
That's true, but one of these days, we'll get a fan. Hey, you have a fan. There's one right there, man.
Okay, let me think. Yeah, I think that's everything. Check us out on the Facebooks.
Facebook.com/Tcopodcast.
Check us out on the YouTubes.
YouTube.com/Josiah Sandy.
Sure.
Does that actually work?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm on Twitter, Josiah Sandu.
I made a Twitter, but I'm not sharing it with the public because it's just for my own personal use. So.
Is it a TCO Twitter? Or?
No, it's just me for personal use. For following people I need to follow and stuff that aren't. Some celebrities and stuff aren't on Facebook, or if they are, they never post to Facebook. And so it's like, oh, hey, I want to follow these people, so I have a Twitter just to follow them and see what's going on with them.
Huh. Okay, cool.
If you want to crowdfund me and help me go see Taylor Swift, there will be a link into the description. We don't need that much money.
Do you really have the thing already?
I haven't actually set up the crowdfunding yet. I have all the videos and stuff done, and I have all the media and stuff we're going to be using. I just have to get the page down.
That is pretty hilarious, dude.
It's going to be great. If you want to...
What do I get if I don't... what are the perk packages?
We're going to get, first of all, when we go there, we're going to get a shirt that says something like, oh, we were crowdfunded to be here, or something like that, and have all the names of everyone who funded us on the back.
That's cool, okay. Of anybody who donated any amount?
Yep. We're going to have all the names on the back, and we're both going to wear them to the show.
Holy crap, that's cool.
We're going to take videos and pictures of us at the show, dancing to T-Swift, or pictures of T-Swift, or whatever.
GoPro style? You'll have at least one GoPro.
If we can get a second one, that would be awesome. Also, if we reach our goal, we're going to do some silly stuff. I'm going to lip sync the whole Red album in one take. And Austin...
That'd be boring.
Is going to lip sync the whole 1989 album in one take. And, I don't know, we'll come up with some other stuff. But yeah, you should totally crowdfund this.
Okay, well, I'll definitely donate.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Some amount.
We only need $1,000. We only need 100 people to donate $10. Think about that. That's really not that hard.
Or 1,000 people to donate $1.
Right, and I'm going to share this all over the internet and see if I can try to do that. Because it's not that much, I hope it's not that much.
It's actually quite a lot of money.
I mean, if I'm just advertising on Facebook or something, it's a lot, yes. But I plan on advertising all over, Reddit and the internets and everywhere. So.
You can't self-promote on Reddit.
You can to an extent.
Yeah.
You can to an extent in certain subreddits.
Yeah, you kind of can.
Anyways.
AMAs are basically self-promotion.
It's
You
true.
ever thought about that?
Nowadays they are. It's like, I'm Robert Downey Jr. and I'm doing this new
Yeah.
film. Talk to me only about this film, please.
Well, it's like there's TV actors and like authors and anybody who's like most of the people who are doing an AMA like have something that's coming out
Mm-hmm.
that they want you to be involved. They want you to
That's
spend
true.
money on or invest time. It's either a movie or a TV show or a book,
Yeah, it is
Or,
self-promotion.
comic or whatever.
Which, I'm putting myself on the line out here.
Which I'm
Like,
okay with. Just as long as anybody can do it.
That's true. But as I was saying, putting myself out on the line here, trying to crowdfund myself going to Taylor Swift, because if people think I'm asking for too much money, then I'm never getting crowdfunded for anything ever again, and that's a big issue for someone who wants to work in the music industry. So, yeah. Kind of, risking a lot right here. But I want to go see Taylor Swift. I consider it a business expense, because going to concerts is definitely beneficial to musical endeavors. Maybe I'll meet her, something like that. So that'd be great. So yeah, you should support me, and you should. Josiah's gonna do an AMA about a movie he's working on.
What?
He's gonna self-promote himself, usual.
What?
You gotta self-promote yourself, dude.
I'm not gonna. No.
No? Never?
Never, dude. I'm gonna fund my own movies myself.
With what money? Carmack's money?
Yeah.
Okay.
Totally.
Okay. I trust you. I
I'm
believe
just gonna
you.
save up. Man, forget that. Forget crowdfunding.
Yeah. I mean, it's
I
not,
refuse to beg for money. Ever.
See, I mean, I don't know.
Even from a studio. It's like, no, this is the movie I want to make. Get out of here. You don't like it, get out.
Your
I'll
pride.
make it myself.
Your pride may leave you in ruins, sir.
At least it'll be ruins of my own making, not somebody else's. You ever think about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have thought about that actually. Thanks. Thanks for that little tidbit.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, it's like, studio's like, well, we'll give you the money if you make these changes. Well, then what if the movie stinks? Huh?
Hmm.
What if the movie stinks because of those changes?
Well,
Then I'm in the ruin of their making
it's
that
true.
I chose to fall into.
It's true.
But I
But
could have said, you know what, thanks, but no thanks.
right.
I'll make this movie for 1/10 of the budget.
But
I do a lot of stuff that
I mean, it's a gamble, really. You're gambling.
Yeah, it's always a gamble, actually.
So yeah.
It could be great with those changes.
We don't have like a supercomputer to set out, like put in everything, every variation possible, and be like, this is the route you should take. This is the one that's going to provide you money and fortune and fame. It's just
Or the best balance of...
yeah, like self-worth and how you feel about the product you've created. And, yeah.
But I think, like, there's like Primer was made for like $7,000. So
I mean, and Primer did pretty well. I mean, sort of. It didn't get any money, did it?
no, but I mean, it did really well at festivals,
Mm-hmm.
which led to him getting funding for his next movie.
Which
Because
you
they were
will
like-
get money for?
He already made a follow up.
I mean,
Primer.
yeah, but has anyone spent money on it? Like, is he making money from this at all?
Oh, I don't like maybe a little bit, but I mean they released it on VOD and stuff, so
Oh, okay.
like, we're at like Primer.
So he's
I don't know if
investing a
that's-
lot of money, though, and eventually maybe he'll make some money from it.
Well, people, yeah, like he probably crowdsourced some of it, but he had investors come on
Mhm.
board because he was like, "Look, I made this movie for $10,000."
But
It got a lot of attention.
Why would they invest if there's no money to be made from it?
Well, they wanted what they would like is for a studio to buy the distribution rights,
Mm-hmm.
put it in theaters,
Ah, okay. Mm-hmm.
limited release, and then expand out.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that what happens with like a lot of those Christian films?
No, most of those are straight to DVD.
Really?
Yeah, Christian films?
no, not those. The ones that actually wind up in theaters and stuff. Like
God's Not Dead?
yeah, wasn't that supposed to, or wasn't that originally not intended to be in theaters or something? And something happened.
No, I think they went all out on that one.
Or what was that one with the Clear Eyes guy? Expelled. That was weird that was in theaters. That was like a document. Do you remember that one? Okay, it was a documentary about evolution. And it was in theaters. And it had the Clear Eyes guy. You know who I'm talking about?
Was it like a Christian film?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it was against evolution. The guy from the commercials who was always like, Clear Eyes.
Yeah, I know the guy.
Yeah.
What, he was talking about evolution?
Yeah, he went around to a bunch of famous evolution people and talked to them about it, and I think he's actually like Jewish or something like that, and that's what made it special. I don't know.
Oh, he's a creationist?
I believe so, yes. And so he was talking about evolutionists and stuff like that.
What about Saving Christmas?
I actually need to watch that again. What's Saving Christmas?
That Kirk Cameron movie? I think it came out around Christmas time.
Well, I mean, you said Kirk Cameron, so my interests have already dropped off. But what is it? Like, how have I not even heard of this at all?
It's a documentary about, I guess, Christmas.
Is it people like talking about taking the Christ out of Christmas and saying Xmas? Because that's already been debunked a million times.
I don't think you could make an entire movie about that.
What is it about then? Oh, making Christmas like more and less about commercialization and more about...
I guess I honestly don't know.
I'm looking this up actually.
The trailer doesn't really... I mean, I don't know.
I'm looking this up, guys. My phone's about to die. I'm looking this up.
I mean, I think I watched the trailer once and it was like Kirk Cameron just like talking to people.
It's a 2014 religious film / comedy. Sounds like Kirk Cameron.
Hey, it's comedy. Sounds like fun.
The freaking... The poster for it looks nothing like I expected. It's Kirk Cameron like running
Surfing?
through... Yeah, on like a Christmas tree and Christmas presents or something. Wait, is this actually not even like a documentary? It's just like a fun Christmas film? Kirk is enjoying the annual Christmas party extravaganza thrown by his sister until he realizes he needs to help out Christian, his brother-in-law, who has a bad case of bah humbugs. Kirk's fresh look at Christmas provides Christians the chance to see Christ is where he has always been, at the center of our Christmas celebrations and traditions. So they have a character named Christian, and then they refer to Christians in the same paragraph. That's weird. Yeah. So it's a Christian Christmas movie, except I probably won't see it even though I love Christmas. It got 1.6 out of 10 on IMDb. 18 Metascore, whatever that means. Literally the only person in the cast who even has a picture on IMDb is Kirk Cameron.
Like, see, I don't know what the man, I don't know.
Looked like it was just a fun Christmas film that had a Christian undertone.
Oh, it sounds like fun.
Like all those Medea movies, they're comedy, but then at the end it's like, Jesus loves you, and...
Nah, dude, like, I've seen most of 2 Medea movies.
I think I've seen, like, all of them because my family likes them.
There's always, like... It's like Medea's got something going on.
Medea's in jail, right?
Yeah, like something like that, right? But then... And then there's, like, some other character that's
it's like Ernest. Medea's new Ernest.
Yeah, essentially.
Medea cuts the cheese,
But it's... No, it's like... There's, like, some random character that's going through some struggle or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, some personal problem. And then Medea's got, like, just doing some crazy thing.
Medea's just being Medea, and then at the end, Medea makes some profound statement or something.
And then their paths cross somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, Medea makes some sort of, like, gives them some sort of, like, life advice or something.
Yep.
And then that person realizes it and then, like, turns everything around and then gets the girl or guy or whatever, or the job or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever it was.
Breaks up with the guy beating on him or whatever, something like that. Yeah. Yeah. But those movies are supposed to have that and basically all the Medea stuff. The Mr. Brown show, I don't know what it's called. Meet the Browns? Is that what it's called?
Oh, yeah, the TV show?
Yeah, and the other one, what's the other one? Tyler Perry's House of Pain. Yeah.
I've never... Actually, maybe I've seen a bit of one of those. Does one of them have a black family? Is it about a black family?
You're joking, right? All Tyler Perry stuff is about a black family. There's not a single Tyler Perry movie that's not. Yes, it's about a black family.
Okay. Well, then I think I've seen
One or the other, or both, maybe.
at least one of those shows.
Okay, well, there you go.
Okay, well...
That's the end of this. Go crowdfund me, support me, please. We really want to go see Taylor Swift.
Yeah, crowdfund me as well. Just
For what?
for...
Hey man, if you start crowdfunding, you can donate $10 to me and I'll donate $10 to you and we can just like justify it like that. People will have no idea.
Wait, when's the concert?
It's actually 5 months from now, but we only have, I think, like a month for the crowdfunding to work.
Oh, crap.
Yeah.
You got a month to raise $1,000, bro? Wait, which one are you doing, a Kickstarter?
Kickstarter does not allow personal stuff like that. It's either going to be GoFundMe or Indiegogo. I'm thinking I'm going with Indiegogo. I'm not sure yet.
Okay. I think on Indiegogo you can keep the money.
You can, yes.
If
Indiegogo you can. I'm not sure
raise
about
all
that. I haven't checked into GoFundMe yet.
Okay.
Actually, with Indiegogo, though, if you don't reach your goal, they take a larger percentage. Fun fact. If you don't reach your goal, they take an extra 9%.
How much do they take out normally?
The GoFundMe and Indiegogo both take about 8 to 9% total. Which isn't really that much.
So you're only raising like $900, really.
Yeah, so I really need to go above and beyond that, but I don't want to tell anyone that. You know, if we reach 900, I'm totally willing to pay an extra 200 and be like, hey, everyone supported me, I'm still going, whatever, you know. But if we only reach
Plus the shirts?
I mean, that's coming out of my own pocket.
That's gonna be like $40 or $50.
It's coming out of my own pocket, though.
Okay.
I mean, I can justify it, I think. But, yeah.
Well, how much are the tickets, actually?
About $500 a piece for the location we want.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
in that case.
Yeah.
You're
For
looking...
nosebleeds, so the cheapest tickets are $150. So minimum we need $300. If we go under $300, all the money's going to Taylor Swift anyways. We're just gonna buy all Taylor merch and take pictures of that and be all sad that we couldn't go and then.
Wait, what?
Yeah, that's the plan.
Why not just...
And any excess money we get is all going to either get the best seats we can get anyways, or just
the shirts?
Taylor merch or whatever, or the GoPro or whatever. No. All the extra money is going to it. We're not going to keep any extra money for ourselves. That's not what's happening.
Cool.
All right. Anything else?
Man, it's late.
It is late.
Alright, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you later. Bye.